Breakfast, buffet breakfast. It's kind of like continental breakfast or Western breakfast. I thought, I treat myself to some eggs. Went to the egg station. There's a stand there, hard-boiled eggs.
One more night. One more night.
Is there a single brand in China that's ready to go direct to consumer with the frame?
No. I am now.
3, 2, 1.
The power charging cable blocks where it says recording, but I can just about
You see the red frame?
What's up, everyone? Welcome to another special episode of the Peak Talk podcast. Changed the host, got some, like all jobs in the UK, all the jobs are going overseas, going to the foreigners. And yeah,
got some talent in.
One of the jobs has gone to China cycling, that is. Yeah, so we're here with Peak Talk. We're going to have a bit of a podcast, have a bit of a chat. We're going to talk about his recent shenanigans with his Tevelo, or Tevelos with an S.
Yep.
We're going to talk about Aero sensors. We've both been playing with Aero sensors these days. We're going to talk about shills. Who do you think's shilling? What is a shill? All this juicy stuff. So, yeah, as they say in the industry, let's dive in.
Let's dive in, because this is the third time we tried to record this podcast.
This is actually the third time
we were sat in this garage last night until about midnight, 11, yeah. And then recorded it all. It was pretty good.
On your cameras.
Fueled with a few beers on my hardware. I'm not a media person, and then the SD card just died.
What was the brand again?
In the camera, Integral. So don't buy Integral SD cards. Yeah. So we lost the whole thing. The camera doesn't read it. The computer won't read it. So I think it's gone.
But this one's going to be better.
And all my homemade porn's gone as well. So my OnlyFans is going to be dry for a couple of months.
I've not been back in the UK for like 7-8 years. But I heard there's some...
Just come off the list.
There was some shenanigans going down that I came and joined in with.
Yeah, so did you notice how the far-right protest started as Joe basically arrived? You came out with me on the gravel bike yesterday. Well, I was on the gravel bike. You were on the Mrs. Hardtail, the 29er. Yeah. Quite a good fit for you.
It was.
It's like a little Chinese Tom Pidcock. Endless faffing up the climb. A lot of excuses. I'm in the road shoes.
The guy
you did pretty good.
175 cranks on that thing. I can't spin 175 cranks.
Arrive and drive.
Some of that's
yeah.
Spin to win.
You did pretty good, I think. You're not an off-road expert. What did you think of the UK gravel? Because we're going to talk about gravel in the show and where it's going.
Yeah, it was good. So nothing like what we did yesterday.
Call me Tom Pidcock.
Call you Tom Pidcock.
Some gravel, some rolling gravel, and there was a little bit of sneaky single track with some rock gardens, I believe the kids call them.
Yeah.
No sick berms.
No sick berms. No jumps.
No. But yeah, we have nothing like that in China basically because the government has too much money and tarmacs every road, so it's really hard to find. So it was really cool. And like I say, that was the first time riding a 29er as well. I don't do off-road.
Well, your road bike's a 29er, so...
Oh, okay.
There we go. Not the first time. But anyway, when I go on to about like building bikes tougher for heavy people, yesterday was kind of what I was talking about. And the Olio, which we'll talk about in a minute, that's what I ride that, and I've ridden that bike probably the most out of all my bikes last year, and it's still going strong. There's nothing wrong with that bike.
Yeah.
Engineering wise, perfect.
Well, like
geometry, bit weird.
One purpose of my visits to the UK, like obviously everyone knows I've got my website selling stuff to
shill.
Pandapudding.cc. I've got my website selling parts to Western consumers, and I think two goals was number one, try understand more Western consumers. So I'm trying to do some rides with some local guys, see what they want from a bike and all this stuff, so I can help them to find products that they want.
Durability.
Big guys like durability.
Not lightweight. More carbon.
No.
More weight.
Thinner walls.
More weight. More shipping costs for you.
Yeah.
That's why everything's so fucking light on pandapodium.cc. It all comes down to shipping costs. Yeah, forget performance.
Yeah, got to make it as light as we can so we don't pay for shipping. But the second thing is like understand the riding scene in the UK, because one example of which is I've always been a fan. I think 25 tyres have always been big enough for me. Like pump them up to 80-ish psi, which at my weight
that's pretty hard.
Is pretty hard. But like in China, the roads in general are pretty good. So, but riding in the UK. Around Shropshire is where I've been riding the past few days before I came up here. Yeah, the road quality. You feel it. Like I was getting pretty achy hands even with gloves and stuff.
What about when you were riding?
Yeah, but you wouldn't notice so much. But then suddenly you'd go to a short bit where they've resurfaced it with some hot mix or whatever, and suddenly you're like,
Yeah, but it's still they resurfaced it so badly. It's still kind of undulating. Yeah, nothing is flat.
Yeah, but so. I definitely think it's opened my eyes to why people are going on the train,
exactly,
tyres and stuff like that. So
and it's like that where you live, you get kind of not brainwashed, but you become entrained in that surface, and you sort of think that all bikes should be like that. So they should be stiff, light, and really responsive. And on the right surface, super stiff wheels feel great. But when you see what it's like here, There's a completely different operating window.
Exactly, I totally agree. But again, I think that's also one of the reasons why, no matter if we're talking about bikes or handlebars, frames or wheels, there's no such thing as the best. Because everyone's a different rider, everyone's riding on different roads, and everyone's riding at different speeds. So that's a kind of worms. But anyway, we'll move on to today's topics, I guess.
Let's do it.
With no further ado.
You're the man with the plan.
Some would say.
I'm the guest on the show, my own show.
Which is interesting.
I just haven't got the energy to do it. This is the third time we've done this, like I said, so over to you.
Anyway.
I'm just making sure that camera doesn't stop recording. Is it stop recording?
It's
still rolling?
Yeah, it's still rolling.
We've got a backup camera over there. Shout out to the backup camera.
Insta360.
I think we'll have to put that in anyway.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much difference between angles, but we'll mix it up.
Well, the media people love it, doing a slight joggle. Do they call it a joggle?
They can now. I think in the porn industry
pan?
they call it a joggle.
A pot?
A pan? A cut?
Cut.
Anyway, you're editing it, so go.
Yeah, well, I'll see. I might get my associate Barry to do it for me.
No,
Joe pays people now to edit his videos. He also pays people to watch YouTube videos for him, and then enter the summary into ChatGPT and then reads it, on the toilet at work in 10 seconds, which is highly efficient. But
you
are the head of the shillogy now. You're the apex of the shillogy.
I'm a busy boy.
You're so busy shilling, you have to get someone to watch YouTube. Do you get someone to watch my YouTube and tell you what I say?
Usually I'll watch yours personally.
Oh, that's nice.
If it's a topic
really
I care
nice.
about.
Yeah, thanks.
But some 2-hour podcast or something. I don't have...
You'll be paying someone to watch this and repeat what we said.
But I was there, you don't need that.
Last night you'd need someone, because I think we'd had a few beers in the last night's one, so we're sober today.
But no,
I'm on the waters.
Obviously, everyone knows running Panda Podium and China Cycling are pretty busy jobs. But I need to know what's going on with YouTube. I need to know what's hot, what's not. And there's just not enough hours in the day these days. So shout out to Zoe, one of the Panda Podium crew. She spends a lot of her time watching cycling YouTube for me and giving me the lowdown on what's cool. And
there could be worse jobs.
Yeah. Watching cycling YouTube for a living is not bad.
Well, she doesn't have to watch GCN.
Anyway, so first topic of the day I think is relevant because we're both finishing up or have finished our videos on the Tavello, or I think you had a
crap velo.
Yeah, I was going to say that's the
Tap Velo. The Tavello. Tut Velo.
Travello. The Spanish speakers amongst me will like that term.
Travello, is that a Spanish word?
Apparently it's slang for transvestite in Spanish.
Is it?
Yeah, some guy came on the live chat on the website and was like, I really like the frame, but writing Tavello on the side of it's not great because most Spanish people, they see Tavello and they think Travello.
Well, they can't fucking spell then. Moving on.
But anyway, the bike itself. So I've had mine built up and riding for, I'd say, 3 weeks before I came. Probably got like 600-700 Ks on mine. I can see two. There's one up on the wall over there. There's one here.
Yeah.
Still not built up.
Yeah.
Had some issues, I heard.
Had issues with both. Luckily, I managed to get two, so I can do an actual production batch comparison, because normally when you get sent stuff, and this didn't come from Joe, this came directly from Tavello. I don't think you even knew about this, that I was getting one.
I think you got yours before I got mine.
I got mine before, yeah. Well, look at that. Snatched from, under your grasp without you even knowing. You were asleep in your lair. Smaug in Lord of the Rings, the dragon.
Oh, I've never watched Lord of the Rings.
So I came in... What?
Sorry.
I had you down as a Lord of the Rings fan.
Never watched Harry Potter.
Anyway, yeah, I've got two. This one is sort of Miami Vice blue, which is criminal, but I actually quite like the colour, and outside it looks sick. And I've got that one up there. And so lucky to get two, so I can directly compare not just the frame tolerances and stuff, but all the little parts in the box, the seat post clamp and the headset and all that stuff, which is really rare to do, because normally you think, oh, maybe you're getting a Peak Talk special or YouTube special where they've plucked a really good one off the production line and gave it a bit of extra polishing and attention, but definitely not on these two.
Or if these are the special ones.
If these are the special ones, what the fuck are the real ones like?
But
I'm going to persevere with it, right? Because I genuinely love the look of the frame. I think it takes a lot of the good cues from a lot of the good aero bikes out there, maybe the old Venge in the head tube area and top tube and stuff. And I genuinely quite like the look of it. And I'm doing road TTs right on a TCR, which is probably losing me over 10 watts at the speed I'm riding.
Well, if you rode Jess's speed, you'd be losing 20 watts.
Well, exactly. So I'm all for getting a proper aero road bike. I'm going to persevere to build it up. I've got to buy a group set for it. The group set's on its way. But the reason I haven't built it up yet is because the bottom bracket was so undersized. First thing, the bottom bracket is tight. Really, really tight, and it's egg-shaped.
Mine was tight too.
You had the same. Yeah. Yours was worse than mine.
Jess's bottom bracket was apparently misaligned, but not undersized.
Okay. Well, I haven't checked the misalignment because here I haven't got the means to do it. I can't take it to a lathe or a mill or something. I'm not going to bother. It's so undersized. That is the least of my worries.
Yeah.
So there's that. I've reamed it out a little bit with a flat wheel, so now I can put a bottom bracket in, but I can't put the bottom bracket in until I get the Di2 because it needs to be wired up underneath the bottom bracket and the brake hoses, obviously. So there's that. There's the thing like the seat post. I couldn't even get the seat post in the frame. Well, I could get the seat post in the frame, but it got jammed. It was so tight. I had to properly stick it in the bike stand, get two hands on it, and tug it as hard as I could. And then I tried to take the seat post out of the frame. So that was that. The headset's a pain in the arse. The expander bung was too tight in the fork. It rips the O-rings when you put it in and out, even though it's completely loose, and the bottom nut on the collets dropped down. There's that didn't work, so tolerances on that were not great. Even though you told me it's like an FSA design system.
I believe so, yeah.
The execution of it is absolutely pants.
Yeah.
And the problem is I can't put a normal cylindrical expander bung in it because it's D-shaped. It's pool proprietary, so I have to use that expander bung. So if you're going to put it in, set all your preload and everything, and then mark the fork where you want to cut it, good luck trying to get that expander bung out again. Because it's so tight, and you pull it out, you think you had the same one happen on yours, all the O-rings get ripped, pulling it out, and then it's all in like 1,000 pieces.
Yeah, it's got 3 O-rings. When I pulled mine out, two ended up ripping, and I've still got one, so it's very
You've still got one, so
very precariously
obviously you can replace the O-rings, but the O-rings are like, I think they're like 0.9 mil section O-rings, so like in a catalogue, they're the smallest ones you can get. It's not as if you can put a burlier O-ring on it, because if you put a burlier O-ring on it, it's going to be even tighter to get down in there.
I was just going to use my daughter's like hair plug.
I mean, you could sort of hold it together and drop it in. But anyway, it's so tight. It's okay when you first install it. You can't grease it, because if you grease it, it's going to lubricate itself, and when you do the top cap up to preload, it's just going to pull the expander bung out, which it does anyway. I think the steerer tube is too thin, so when you do the expander bung up really tight to stop it getting pulled out with the preload, it actually like deforms the steerer tube outwards, which grips the stem really, really tight. And then when you're preloading it, instead of pushing the stem down and squishing the bearings like you want to do, the stem is so tight it actually lifts the expander bung out of the fork, and you're back to square one with no preload. So preloading this, I haven't done it. I can't do it, and it's even though there's like no brakes on it and stuff, there's still a bit of a wobble there, but putting disc brakes on it and riding it, it's going to be clunking around all over the shop, and then you're going to get the ring of death on the steerer. I think it needs a lot of work.
Yeah.
A lot of work.
Mine was, I've built a fair share of bikes. I'd say the past year or so, I've built like 15 bikes at Pandapodium for me and the other guys and whatever. And this was the faffiest headset that I've done. Again, I've seen all sorts of different solutions, but this one was really a bit of a how does it work?
There's no instructions in the box either.
Of course.
Call me Karen, but if you're buying a China bike, you might be doing it yourself to save a bit of money, not taking it to a shop. No instructions. I mean, you can look online and look at some shots on Instagram of the bike fully built, but when you get it out the box, you don't even know if all the bits are included that should be included. Like, is it missing something? You don't know. Simple parts list. Even a QR code that links you to the Pandapodium, or I'm not saying this is your problem, this is Tavello's problem, you're just a reseller. But a simple like bill of materials. Just shows you like what that does, where it goes. They've got the CAD to make the fucking frame. Like they've done it in 3D CAD. Simple exploded assembly drawing, with the little lines connecting everything. Save you so much time. Where I'm looking at it, all these headset spaces, like, where does that one go? What goes on top of that one? I mean, it's not that difficult if you've done it before. But if you're doing it from scratch, or if you're taking it to a bike shop that's never built one before, and you're relying on, like we said in last night's podcast, so I'm trying to recall everything from last night's podcast so we don't miss anything out. Like, bike shops are changing now, so they don't actually hold any stock. They're more of like high-end assembly places for custom builds. And if the bike mechanic in the shop thinks this is a pain in the arse, they're not going to recommend it to anyone. They're going to say, avoid Tavello, avoid Chinese bikes. So if they want to get a foothold in the sort of direct-to-consumer frame-only market, they need to make it really easy to build. And it's a fucking pig. I've been filming the video for this for like 3 weeks. You'll see when the video comes out, I'm wearing like different outfits every day. Obviously, hair's grown, beard's grown. Got a fucking tan in one of them because I had to go on holiday in the middle of it when I was on the downhill bike, and then it's still not ready. So work in progress. And now when it will be ready, the fucking irony is that the road TT season is pretty much over next week. So next Wednesday, I think it's my last local club TT, and it's not going to be ready. So
so my build wasn't as eventful as yours. I had the undersized bottom bracket, which needed a reaming out, and it was undersized by a lot. The headset was a pain in the arse, but like got it done, and
got it done.
Everything else was okay. And ride-wise, like I'm looking forward to you riding it because hopefully, good things come to those that wait or whatever.
Yeah, but when I ride it, mate, it's just going to be. I'm sorry, it's going to be like any other bike.
Maybe.
I think there's so little value in ride reviews, which is why I've done the build review. Because that's where you see the nitty-gritty parts. Riding it's just like, yeah, it's fucking stiff, it's light, blah, blah, blah. I mean, look at me, all bikes are light enough. If it's 200 grams lighter than something else, I don't give a shit. I really don't give a shit about weight on bikes.
But the punters are buying it to ride it, not buying it to build it, right?
Yeah, but like I said, word of mouth gets around. If they're not building it at home or they're taking it to a shop that's going to get slated, they're not going to sell any.
I agree.
If they're selling it as a full bike, so the punter doesn't get involved, fine. But you could have problems and they're covered up at the factory. If they're assembling it in the factory, they have to do some extra reaming or tweaking of the headset and stuff. But it's not. They're selling it as an open book.
Yeah.
And it has to be ready.
Yeah, and so I think this is also another reason why, in general, if you're considering a purchase or whatever, like watch as many YouTube videos on something as you can, right? Because again, the average reviewer gets a sample size of 1.
Yeah.
Okay, you've got a sample size of 2, but still
not great.
And also, it might be you doing it wrong. Let's say. So if you watch more YouTube videos of 7 guys, then you're getting a more better idea. If they all have undersized bottom brackets, which so far it seems to do, then if you buy one of these frames, make sure you check the bottom bracket size.
The worst thing are those like ASMR style bike build videos. Those pro bike builds. Such bollock.
Does Madpeck wear black gloves?
Probably, I don't know. He probably has. Tracy Velo wears like muck-off gloves, doesn't he?
But I think he's a knockoff, he said, right?
Why did he wear a pair of gloves? It's a fucking bike. Okay, maybe if it's got dot fluid everywhere, you don't want that on your skin. But anyway,
we don't.
Let's get sidetracked, massively sidetracked. But like coming back to this direct-to-consumer Chinese thing, when I got the Olio bike on the channel, that got slated. But build-wise, quality components, easy to build up, everything fucking fit. Headset, pretty good.
Didn't you have your bottom bracket taking chunks out of?
Oh, the bottom bracket, apart from the T47 bottom bracket, which I hate for the record, because there's so much paint like in the way of where the cups go in, and now like obviously the T47 ends up at being such a massive diameter where the actual spline is to get your tool on to take it in and take it out and put it in. There's just all the frames I've seen have just got way too much paint around there. There's no like flat area where the face of the cup can actually rest on. So I did it up tight, so it was resting on the paint, but over time it's self-tightened against the paint and just carved out a cylindrical tunnel inside the paint. And now it's finally stopped tightening itself because it's hit the aluminium bit. But I don't know how I'm going to get it out. I probably won't be able to fit a tool on it.
It's like when a tree grows next to a wall or whatever, and now they're forever together.
Yeah, it's the spline is like hidden by the paint, paint thickness on the frame. So that was the only bad thing. But anyway, the point I was trying to make was, on the whole, that was built up really well. It was easy to put together. The parts are quite nicely machined. Everything had a nice little chamfer on it. Unlike the seat tube clamp on that one had the worst burr on it that would have just knifed its way through the seat post. That went together quite well. But the problem with that is the geometry was fucking wacky. It was like a short cyclocross bike from the 80s. Whereas this, I think, the aesthetics and the geometry is good, but the build quality is the wrong way around. So between them, there's good stuff there. If you can merge the two good things about both these brands, I think they've done it. But we were talking about this last night, I believe they still need to go through someone like Joe, Panda Podium, to fix all this shit. So Joe is obviously a retailer, but you're acting as like a finishing house for these brands, and it sucks.
I mean, on one hand it sucks. Trust me, I don't like wiping everyone's arse.
Yeah, and like getting in there with the sandpaper trying to fix the bottom bracket for a brand. Like, come on.
But again, so we mentioned it last night. The Tavelo frame does come in a very nice box. Everything's beautifully laid down, tied down, covered in plastic. My guys, every frame that comes to us, they have to get it all out. Yeah. Check everything, give it the once over, give it the old PPQC, and then put it all back in. And if we'd love to have a brand that we could trust, that we don't have to do that. Yeah. But of every brand we sell, there's not a single brand that we're at that level.
Yeah, we said last night, I was like, is there a single brand in China that's ready to go direct to consumer with the frame? No. That's it. That sucks. Yeah. So there's still a long way off. And also, let's just mention the price of this.
Yeah.
It's 1,880 USD. Is there shipping involved?
So 1880 is free shipping and free handlebar.
Free shipping, free handlebar.
And we were saying last night before.
Sorry, nothing is free in this world, bruv. It's all priced in.
Okay. Shipping and handlebar included.
Yeah, included.
So we were saying last night, back in the day when China frames were lower lower $1,000-ish range.
I would have bought one for 500 USD off AliExpress. Then I'm talking. Then you're okay to fix the bottom bracket. You'd be like, oh yeah, it's $500. I'll ring the bottom bracket, but at 2,000, man.
Well, two things.
Let's just round it up. 2,000 USD.
Let me separate these two. Number one, let's first say they're like $1,000-ish Chinese frames, which actually have a brand on them.
Yeah.
Back in the day, if you had to do some work for it, you wouldn't mind because you saved some money. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
But if you were spending like 4 or 5 hours faffing around with headsets and reaming out bottom brackets, like time is money. Like I'm literally, as you said earlier, I have to pay people to get time in my life back. Yeah. So why would I waste time in my life? But then to go back to what you other said, I always get triggered when someone says like $500 AliExpress frames. I don't care what frame you buy, but I always say make sure it's got a brand on it that like is an actual brand, not just a random mashing of letters. Because if you have like an AliExpress frame, or it's got a fake frame, or a frame with no logo, that brand, quote unquote, has no skin in the game. Like if that frame breaks and people on the internet start saying like this is a bad frame,
it'll just disappear.
It'll just disappear because there's not a word to put it on.
Yeah.
But Tavello, obviously they're trying to build this brand. Yeah. If people start saying Tavello is wank, it's bad for them. So they've got skin in the game, is what I'll say.
And I just mentioned the guy that I've been dealing with about this frame is not Joe. It's directly from Tavello, and I think he's a perfectly reasonable guy. Like he's been pretty conscientious about the things I've said, and I've fed back to him in English and Chinese like all the things that are wrong with it. And it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt when the video goes out. But time and time again, people send shit to me thinking I'm just going to give them a good review. And this comes back to the whole shill thing. 9 out of 10 people will. But the point of this channel is to highlight the shit. And if it hurts the brand in the short term, I don't care. Don't send it to me. It's wasting my time because I don't get paid to do this. If you want a free video, it's going to be no holds barred. And this is no holds barred. Yeah. The video on this is over 40 minutes long. And it's pretty much all problems. All of it. I mean, I like the look of it. That's why I'm going to continue to go. I like it. I like the look of it. It's got good tire clearance. It fits me well. Geometry's pretty good. It's pretty fucking low, but it'll be really good road bike for me for sort of the flatter stuff. Yeah.
Random aside note: when I was staying up in Shropshire. I put a thing on Instagram like, oh, anyone around the area want to go for a ride? Some
guy turned up on a Tavello.
Yeah, some guy turns up on a Tavello Aero. So and he ripped my legs off. A very
Harry.
Nice guy. Yeah, Harry.
From shout out to Harry. I've got Harry's number now. By accident.
Yeah, by accident. I gave you Harry's number, so it was my number. Sorry, Harry. That was a random surprise. So
they're out there.
They are getting out there
in numbers. I wonder who built. I wonder who. Well, yeah. According to this is frame number 1
of this size.
This size, it's 580-00001. Yeah. So maybe the excuse is first one off the line is a bit shit, but that one up there, the red one, is not number 1. It's like number 58 or something.
Okay.
No, it's size 58, but I think it also says 58 after there's all the zeros.
Maybe it was.
Or it's 59 or something.
Prototype.
That one is a little bit better than this in terms of the bottom bracket, but it's still massively undersized on one side. And the other thing is, I'll just quickly mention, the video is not about Tavello. The bottom bracket, they ship a bottom bracket with the frame, which a lot of frames don't come with a bottom bracket, right? And the bottom bracket that came with it is utter dog shit. And it's a metal bottom bracket. It's machined aluminium, and it's, I'm not saying it's easy to do, but it's a lot easier to machine a round bottom bracket to 41mm than it is to make it in carbon. And the bottom bracket's 41.86 on one side. How can it be so wrong? It's fucking aluminium.
So Hambini's still got a job.
He's still Hambini, and anyone else is making one-piece metal bottom brackets. You're well in a job here, because the one that came with this bike is supposed to be like a juicy little cherry on the cake in the box. Is dog shit. And I'm using it as a part of my bearing press kit now. So I put the wheels on it and I lay the hub on it, and I use it to receive the bearing when I smash bearings out of wheels. It's useless. And if you can't make a decent bottom bracket, don't ship one, because it devalues the whole product. Yeah. Like if you buy an SLA, it doesn't come with a bottom bracket.
I agree.
And it's up there somewhere, isn't it? We used it last night to open a beer bottle. Yeah. Like it's got its uses, but it's pretty heavy as well. It's a big old lump, and they're buying it from a company in Taiwan. Yeah. So it should be decent. But just don't include one. There's no need. Yeah. The best thing they could do, if they want to include a bottom bracket, put a plastic Shimano one in, because that is forgiving to bad tolerances, because it can be squeezed a bit. Yeah. Don't put a rigid metal one in that's clearly undersized. But we were joking last night. It's almost like they've made that bottom bracket custom for this frame, because this frame is undersized, and it's worse on one side than the other, and so is the bottom bracket. So have they custom made a bottom bracket to fit the wonky frame? No, it's just shit.
Yeah, like there'd be no reason to do that.
It's just shit.
Yeah, just to have the equipment. But yeah, so we'll see how you get on. Like I say,
when it's built up, it'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. And yeah, keeps everyone in the job.
Yeah, still recording. Bosh. You can't send me something shit and expect me not to say it, because the whole point is to improve products. I want to make these products better for people.
So case in point, I think we can say, again, I'm biased, but the CRW wheels, right? So when I review something, I am me. I can't tell you what it's like to ride this wheel set as an 80 kilo guy.
Mate, more than that. More like 90 plus a couple.
Okay. As a 50 kilo guy.
Especially after that pork.
Oh yeah, that pork was good pork.
Pork last night.
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah.
But anyway, as a 50 kilo guy, I can only review wheels as a 50 kilo guy. So I like sending stuff to this man because is more of a man. Not to.
That's what he said last night.
Not to gender assume role.
Yeah, how do you know I'm a man? You far right thug.
I'm getting cancelled.
He's a far right thug.
I'm getting cancelled.
Yeah.
So case in point was the CRWs, right? Like I thought they were the bee's knees. I'm like, send one over to Peak Talk, and I know. Like we're good friends, but I know if I send him anything, if it's crap, he's going to say it's crap. Like,
yeah.
And everyone can see.
I know he's not just going to block me. If I start saying these are shit, Joe, he's not going to be like block. I'm not sending him anything again, which is what the other companies do.
Yeah. I mean, everyone can see the evidence because it's all out there in the open. He got a set of CRWs and took it to town. Like it was like this, you know. I
was genuinely annoyed.
Yeah.
Because I'd taken him on holiday and I wanted to show him off. I was like, look at these fucking. Because CRW came around and it was a step change in terms of weight.
Yep.
For the depth, it was like nothing else on there was doing that for that depth.
Yeah,
and I couldn't use them.
Yeah, and I
couldn't show off at the cafe.
I got some very angry WhatsApp messages, and the video kind of reflected that. But everyone can go back, and everyone really knows the story anyway. But long story short, your feedback helped CRW to fix the issue, and now there's a better product for it.
Yeah, I think there is a better product for it. I mean, I still stand by what I said. I'm still surprised they needed that feedback and they hadn't picked it up.
Yeah,
I'm still kind of like, well, how did that happen? But that's a long time ago now, and you know the new ones, and that would not even the new ones that you sent me, the revised end caps, just that have a better fit, don't have the same problem. So it was a small problem, but it does get pointed out, and that's the whole point, is to try and improve stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the way this ties into this segment, I think we should have a little chat about YouTubers and the YouTuber space in general, and like the value of a YouTuber to the audience and the value of a brand to a YouTuber. And the buzzword these days is shilling, right? Like,
yeah, everyone's a shill.
Who's a shill?
Everyone's a shill. I mean, if no one was a shill, we'd have no
no
money in the world.
How would you define a shill? What's a shill for you?
I think a shill for me is someone who would promote something with very little testing, just to get monetary benefit, and very little testing, and that person probably has very little conscience as well. And the proof's in the pudding. So like, if I give an affiliate code out for Winspace or Elite or whatever, if those products end up being shit, I have a reputation on the line that I want to uphold, right? Otherwise the channel falls over, the channel is just like, I love the channel. It's a kind of a labour of love. It's a love-hate relationship with it, but I do like doing the videos and trying to help people with their buying decisions. But if I do end up shilling endlessly, you'll get found out and no one's going to watch the channel. Yeah. No one's going to come to you for questions. No one's going to email me, which they do like every week, saying, oh, I've got a choice between these wheels. What do you recommend for these conditions? This is my weight. No one's going to come for that advice. And I like helping people decide what to buy. I don't like getting ripped off myself. I'm careful with my money. So I don't want other people to have the same problems. And you'll get found out if you're a shill.
Yeah.
You'll buy a bike that'll end up having warranty issues, recalls. And the other thing is, a shill for me is someone who says they review something like every week. Mm-hmm. You just can't. Right. You literally can't, unless you've got a squad of trained beta testers like on your payroll. You can't test things every week. So when David Arthur does a bike review every week, that is shilling. Like, I'm sorry, you can't do that. So if someone says, can you do EDS, the wheel top got in touch with me and said, can you do a review on the EDS group set? We'll send you a group set for free. And they said, we want a video within a week. I said, no, can't be done. It can't be done. And I said, minimum 3 months. I think we settled on 2, because I quite fancy putting the group set on that, because I like the wireless. It was easy to build. I was like, I could go on the Velo and we'll see what it's like. And in the end, I said, you can't control the narrative, and they pulled out.
Yeah.
They didn't cite that as a reason. I said, you don't have the right to, review the video before it goes up. It is what it is. If you want free video, I'm saying what I'm saying. And they pulled out. If I was a shill, I would have just done the video.
Yeah.
Done it in a week. The unboxing style videos, there's no fucking point. Why? I can't see the value of someone taking something out of a box. But those are shit paid shill videos. I don't do that.
Yeah.
Never would.
I'd say my definition is a bit different to yours, but similar. Like, for me, shilling is saying something that you know not to be true or is not your true thought.
What you truthfully believe, yeah.
And your end result, the reason is personal gain. But it may not be affiliate links. It may just be to get views or anything else. Cause
brand reputation, yeah.
Or more stuff from them.
You can't quantify that.
Because if brand X sends you a wheel set and you say it's crap, they're probably not going to send you a new wheel set.
Yeah.
So it's, in my opinion, it's shilling. Even if you're not affiliate codes, if you say, oh yeah, these are good wheels, they look good on this bike, blah blah blah. There's no affiliate code. This isn't sponsored. But in your heart, you know it's not as good as the other wheel.
Exactly.
But you're saying it. Just that's to me is shilling, like lying. Or deceiving your audience for personal gain. But I 100% agree with you. YouTubers who've been around the block for a while, like, there's a reason we've been around the block for a while. If you were shilling everything all the time, you get found out. Okay, maybe if you deleted all the comments, everything, you might be able to control
comments
it.
Turned off.
All videos, all comments turned off. But it'll go into other people's videos.
Oh, it'll go on forums. And people
say, Peep Talk said this was good, I got one, it was crap.
I have a reputation to uphold.
And when I sent Peep Talk an email, because I'm sure you've had it before.
Yeah.
You say product X is good.
Yeah.
If anything goes wrong with product X, they're going to email you as well as email the brand. I remember.
I've had that before.
I remember when I used to work at a company.
People have come
and then someone had an issue
to me about wind space wheels. Very rarely.
They'd CC you on a bunch of emails.
I had someone come to me that weren't getting anywhere with Elite when they complained about the rim tape being wrong. The rim tape was done badly, so they couldn't get anywhere with Elite. So then they sort of tried to get me involved. They sort of implicated me in this.
Yeah.
Which is fine. Like I was prepared to help them. But that's not what I'm there for.
Yeah.
But I'm prepared to stand by it and say, no, I believe Elite are the good company with good customer service. I'll maybe try and help you get somewhere with it. Because, but at the end of the day, I've got a reputation. I don't think anything I've said is good. Anything in my review that I've like genuinely kind of promoted, saying it's genuinely a good product, has been shit. It's never happened, and I stand by that. Like, I think I've got a clean record. I don't shill shit. I don't think I shill. I think at some point you've got to. It comes down to trust. So you're always going to get the tin hat brigade, who believe that anything you say that is good, that you like, even if you don't give an affiliate code out, by virtue of you promoting it online, you are getting views to your channel. You are elevating your self brand essentially. So even if I go and buy something, let's say I go to the bike shop and I buy a set of fucking zip wheels, and I do a review on zip wheels, and I say they're really good. The tin hat brigade will say that's shilling, because you are bringing views to your channel, which adds pittance in terms of ad revenue, which is fucking nothing. You don't make money. No one makes, unless you're like Andrew Tate or something. You ain't making money off ad revenue, right? It just doesn't work like that. Google ad revenue is piss. Like, no one's getting rich or living off ad revenue. Everyone's got to have a proper job.
He says with Mercedes behind him on our own.
Yeah, a high mileage Mercedes. It's done 150k.
There we go.
And a handbrake fell apart. Where was I?
Sorry to derail it. Talking about you're not getting rich off AdSense money.
Yeah, you're not getting rich off AdSense money, but you're bringing views and impressions and reputation to your channel. So in some regard, that's shilling. By even putting yourself out there in the media.
I think
so at some point it comes down to trust.
Yeah.
Okay, so the tin hat brigade will always think anything you say is conspiracy, or there's a twisted narrative. But if you can't read an article or watch an article and just trust that person's intuition and trust that person's experience, God help you, my friend, because you'll never buy anything. You'll never look at anyone in the eye and say, I trust your opinion. Like, there's a sliding scale.
Yeah.
But I don't think no one has come to me and said, the product you said was good has been shit. Yeah. And if you have, please email me or put it in the comments section below. I mean, of course, everyone has warranty problems.
Yeah.
So Elite have had warranty problems. And, in the Elite video, I wasn't very kind to them in the start.
Yeah.
Trace Verlo wasn't very kind to them. But they have definitely, as a company, and you said it last night, have improved off their own back.
Yeah.
No one's helped them. You don't work for them. You never have.
Yep.
So they've got better And companies, young companies do have that time to get better. But yeah, if you can't trust people, then God help you. Because at the end of the day, if I want to go and buy a fucking kitchen, I don't know anything about kitchens.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have to go and find someone to trust.
Yeah, yeah.
And at some point, the person I'm trusting is a salesman. At some point in that process, at the time we're actually going to buy the kitchen, the salesman will be selling it to me. But I have to trust him a little bit. Otherwise, I'm not going to buy anything. I'm just going to sit in a cave.
So
we'll be cavemen.
I think your definition of shilling is even more strict than mine. Like, so for me, because you were saying like a guy who just features the product is shilling. For me, as long as he's not lying or deceiving, I don't see it as shilling.
Yeah.
And like I say, everyone's got a different perception of the word shill, so there's no right or wrong.
Yeah.
But like for me, like some Instagrammers or whatever just show you the thing. Like, okay, you can debate the value of this video, but for me, that's not shilling, because he's not saying it's the best thing ever, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
He's just showing you it. So I'm like, yeah, if you want to watch it, you watch it. But yeah, definitely, like, I think every consumer will grab, like, the great thing about YouTube as a platform is, like, the algorithm, right, what everyone talks about, but it is so good at putting the right content in front of you, and then if you like that content, it will find you more content that you should like. And it's just so good, because different people have different ways to make purchasing decisions, right? So, I mean, let's think about buying a car. Like Top Gear back in the day, you wouldn't watch... So way back in the day, like late 80s, early 90s Top Gear, you could watch it for a purchasing decision information, right?
Yeah.
So I buy the new Vauxhall Astra.
It was a proper review.
Yeah, like let's look at the boot space, blah, blah, blah. But later, like when they're reviewing cars, just hooning them around, like no one's watching that and going, oh yes, I think I will buy this.
No, it's just an entertainment show.
Yeah, exactly. And I think in cycling space, okay, no one's really successfully done the entertainment side of things, but you do get people like GCN, obviously they get lots of slack, but lots of their stuff these days is just like fun stuff with products in it. And people will like say that's shilling or whatever, but I guess you got to put it in more like the Top Gear kind of category, where GCN never do reviews. GCN have never done a review, as far as I know, and said, these are the pros and cons of this product, so you should buy it. No. They've never done that.
Never, ever.
And yet they get abused for being shills, like...
That's what they clearly do.
Yes, they're getting paid money to use these products, which, as far as I know, they do disclose. But like, it's just like Top Gear. Like, so I don't see why people get upset about it. So, yeah, everyone expects me like to be like the anti-corporation, blah blah blah. But yeah, shilling, in my opinion, is deceiving people. Yeah. And as long as you're not deceiving people, then it's fine. And if you are deceiving people, you're going to get found out.
This is why I kind of like, I like helping these Chinese companies develop the products, because I know it's going to hurt Tevelo when the video goes out. It hurt Yolio when their video went out, because I ranted so hard about the geometry, maybe a bit too much, but you saw it, how dangerous it was yesterday up them technical climbs. Constant buzzing my toes and like trying to stay on the bike. It makes you a better rider, fucking hell. But it wheedles out like the mature companies from the fucking grifters who want to make a quick buck, because the mature companies, it will really make them do better, and like if you're in business, right? If you're in an engineering office, if you're all professional, you should be able to take criticism. It's just a part of life. Like, you need to be able to take criticism and be okay with it. And if you're working with a company that can't take criticism and then blocks you, doesn't respond to your emails, which I've had before, fuck them. Like, they're not worth it. And I would never ever pass on a discount code for that company. But a shill would. Yeah. They would just keep them happy. Yeah. So I had a real ding dong with Classified over the efficiency claims of the hub. I'm not going to name drop the engineer, but super clever guy, PhD, went through my test method with a fine tooth comb, and he's like, "Yeah, we're doing it outside." I was like, "Well, mate, that's the bread and butter of what we do. We have to do it outside at some point." Went through everything, and we were arguing about a few things, and a few, he was claiming that the chain line probably wasn't correct, and I was like, "Well, these are the data," and they never ever stopped me from putting the video out. Yeah. I mean, and actually, I said to him, I actually said to him on email, on a Skype call, I was like, "What are you worried about? The fucking results are great." Yeah. And he typical fucking engineer, like, all due respect, he was arguing over about a 1/10%. He was like, "Yeah, well, actually, it should be 10% more efficient." I was like, "Dude, these are fucking good results. Let me put them out. I'm doing you a favour." Yes, the test method might not be the most accurate, but it's the best I could do. And they didn't. I mean, the higher powers in the company were absolutely fine to let me put the video out. And I've got a really good relationship with that company. Never been paid by Classified, by the way. Never. I just do it for the love of the kit. I think it's a really good piece of kit. There's a few things that have gone wrong in it with the electronics, but now they've hopefully sorted that out with the TRP group set integration. But that is the mark of a mature company. Professional people can take criticism and move on from it and make better products.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're a shill, you'll do it for a non-professional company, because those kind of companies would take offence if you criticise them, because they know they're going to get bucked.
I've also not done a video on that.
There you go. You've told me not to put it on the bike. You did say don't put that piece of shit on.
Or words to that effect.
And I'm glad I didn't, because having watched Luke's video, Trace Velo, who I think you're meeting up with next week.
Yep.
Shout out to Luke.
Looking forward to that.
Having watched his video on the group set, what a time waster. I ain't got the time to deal with that.
Yeah, I put a few hours into it trying to get the front mech working. And long story short, because I've never done a review on it, in my opinion, the front mech, the actual structure of it and the motor are not strong enough. So if you're pedaling under load, doesn't matter how you try to set it up, you're never going to get it so it will shift under load. Yeah. That's fine. You can have that, because you can justify it by saying it's a budget group set, yada yada yada, etc etc. Just don't shift under load. Like, that's fine. People have been taking load off the shift for years back in the day. But like, I don't like it when suddenly every grandma on YouTube has a set to review, and they're all saying it's great, it shifts in a second. Blah,
yeah,
blah,
but
blah.
to be fair, they're not. So
I've seen.
I haven't seen that many, but Luke, his review wasn't great.
Again, but I think, did Luke buy it himself? I can't remember.
No, he got sent it.
But
he told me.
I think we both trust Luke in terms of like,
I think he's pretty decent guy.
Spade, yeah.
But also Ribble Valley Cyclist. I don't know if he's quite a small channel in the UK, but I think he's growing. Gravel cyclist dude. He got one. And to be fair, his review was pretty good, pretty thorough, and he pointed out something hilarious. So like, on the Shimano front mechs, I'm not sure about SRAM, but you got that bracing screw, which is a little grub screw, which after you've set it up, you wind it in, and it just butts up against the seat tube of the frame to stop it. Stop the yawing movement under load. All Shimano ones have them, and it works. If you do set that up properly, it makes the front mech a lot stiffer, and you get better shifting.
SRAM used to have the wedge, right? Those little wedges that you could put in there and then attach
I don't know about SRAM.
Different size wedges and stuff.
Not sure about SRAM, but on Shimano ones, it definitely does something. It stops that yawing. So I've seen on the EDS one, the wheel top one, it's got the screw in, but it goes in from the back. So when you put the mech on the frame, you can't actually get to the screw. So how do you adjust it? It's like the engineer. I'm not saying this is how. This is satire, right? The engineer that copied the CAD. Oh, look, there's a fucking N2 grub screw thread in there. We'll put that in, but we don't have a clue what it does. We'll just put it in. And it's there, but you can't use it because you can't get to it.
Yeah.
Or you have to tweak it out, put the thing on, take it off, tweak it again, put it on, and it's just like, that ain't gonna work. It reminds me of when I was in I think I told you the story, a hotel in Manila in the Philippines, like a real budget hotel. I went to the egg stand, it was breakfast, buffet breakfast. It's kind of like continental breakfast or Western breakfast. I thought, I treat myself to some eggs. Went to the egg station. There's a stand there, hard-boiled eggs, right? There's all these eggs in the water bath. I was like, I fancy a hard-boiled egg. Don't fancy anything fried, because Philippines fried food central. Took them to my table, cracked it open. It's fucking raw. It's raw eggs all over the plate. And like, this is it. It's like they're trying to do it because they know you should have hard-boiled eggs there, but they don't know what the fuck they are.
But they forgot the important.
They don't know what hard-boiled egg is. They've just seen the eggs in. They've obviously gone onto Google, seen a basket of eggs. They've just left them out, and it's like that's like the thing with the grub screw on the wheel top group set. It's like they just don't know why it's there. Maybe that's what it's like, you know.
There's some weird stuff.
Hey Chris, have you seen this fucking polygon?
You've got a polygon?
Look at this fucking deal.
How much is it?
I mean, I love it. I think we were talking last night. The Nero Show is probably the only podcast I watch.
We'll asterisk this banter by saying we do think the Nero Show is
I like the Nero Show. I think it's good listening.
Much better than the Peak Talk podcast.
Yeah.
And the China Cycling.
This is my 4th episode ever.
Yeah,
I'm on about 1 1/4.
95 or whatever. So they're doing something right. So we'll asterisk
we
this.
like these guys.
We do like it.
I think they do a good job. If the polygon is so good, Jesse, get it in the studio. Get it on the Heffron Park race.
You see, by your
it's so blatant advertisement. I don't care. It's like fucking when Hambini does his NordVPN advert. I just don't care. Like, it doesn't offend me. If you get offended by that, God help you, man.
And again, they're
just getting a show sponsor. It's not shilling.
Yeah, there's no right or wrong definition.
I don't think it's shilling. Like if Jesse's seen I've just said it was shilling, and now I'm saying it's not. But it's so blatant, it doesn't offend you.
But yeah,
because if he has found the polygon on his sponsor's website and it's a good value, then why don't mention it?
But that's the thing. Like everyone's got a different definition of shill. Like so, for some people, it just means more like sellout, right? And that's more like your definition.
Yeah.
So
I don't know.
By your definition, it's shilling because he's not really touched the bike and he's saying it's blah blah blah. My definition is if he's not lying, he's not shilling. Yeah. But like, there's no right or wrong. I'm not going there. But yeah, as long as he does see that price and he does think it is a good value, and I do think it is a good value because I've got my video on it coming soon. Maybe this brings us on to another segment of the podcast.
Yeah, let's move on.
Podcasts.
Right.
With the state of podcasts, I think we'll have a quick natter about. So we'll start with the boys at the Nero Show because we're fans.
Yeah, I'm fans.
I was riding my Nero Show skin suit yesterday.
Yep, in a pissing rain.
Yeah, flying
average. What did we average? 19k an hour for a skin suit.
Not that, mate.
Not even that.
Okay.
Well, there was a lot of climbing.
A lot of climbing
and a lot of off-road.
A lot of pushing bikes up hills.
Speak for yourself, mate. I was riding those sections.
No, it was too slippery. But yeah, so let's talk a quick talk about podcasts. So I think we said yesterday that neither of us are very big podcast consumers anyway. We don't have the situation where we can put on earphones and get some work done or something.
Call me Tom Pickard.
Call you Tom Pickard.
I get my eyes open up and watch stuff. But if I'm not at the computer, I'm playing with the kids or I'm doing this and I don't want to do podcasts. So my time for podcasts is limited. But the Nero Show, I don't watch it religiously anymore. I used to watch it.
I used to watch it religiously.
Yeah,
or late at night when I was working, I'd put it on.
Yeah, in the beginning, it definitely good. And one thing I mentioned yesterday, I will just cut out all the faff of yesterday's version of the podcast. Basically, my point of yesterday's thing was, I love the show, but I think it'll help them a lot if they don't stick to a weekly schedule.
I agree.
Because at the moment, they're doing this weekly schedule. They must upload an hour before Francis Cade or whatever it is. And so they have this pressure. Times. And if it's been a slow week, there's just nothing to talk about.
There's nothing to talk about.
And you're just going to be beating a dead horse.
Yeah, we agreed on that last night. I think it was... But to be honest, even when they started, I think they had a regular upload schedule.
Yeah.
Which was really good of them because it's hard work.
Uh-huh.
But I think there was enough to talk about. Now that there's not so much to talk about, or if nothing happens in the pro scene, the pro tour to talk about, nothing controversial, no kit comes out, there's really no point to do the podcast. And for the guys that are local to them and ride their crits and all this Heffron Park scene that I keep hearing about, that's probably really interesting. But for me, it's like when you go to a party that you don't really know too many people have and you don't get the in-jokes.
Uh-huh.
It's like, this is not my bag. Yeah. And I think that turns a lot of people off. So I don't think they should stick to the weekly upload. I think they should do it when there's some real interesting stuff to talk about. Just be more organic. But maybe the Polygon shilling is contracted to weekly upload.
Yeah.
Maybe they're right, you've got to mention this every week, and therefore they have to do it. And that comes back to the definition of, it gets boring when you're held by a sponsor to do that.
Yeah.
And so, I think Chris and Jesse, they have, I'm pretty sure, other professions.
Yeah.
Which is their main
Jesse's
income.
A coach, right?
Right. So, if they don't get the Polygon, I can't remember what the retailer's called, but it's an Aussie retailer of bikes, isn't it?
Online?
Bikes Online, is it? If they don't get that gig, or if they have to reduce the amount of sponsorship they're getting, it's not going to make a big difference to their lives, hopefully.
Yeah.
So they're not going to go to the moon by doing this once a week. They're not going to retire early by doing this once a week, are they? Let's be honest.
So we are not podcast experts because this is our third attempt at this podcast. So that
this podcast.
So that proves that our production value is not through the roof.
Mm.
But my advice to them, as someone who spends a lot of time analysing YouTube, YouTube, the algorithm, it's all about viewer retention. And so, having an hour and a half show that everyone only watches the first 5 minutes is not going to do well. Whereas if you save all the stuff when there's actually content and then you put a shot that everyone's riveted to and watches till the end, the algorithm's going to send it to the moon.
Okay, so here's where that algorithm retention thing breaks down. If I put on their podcast, it'll be either in the car, just to keep myself from falling asleep on a long drive, and I actually listened to 2 of their podcasts driving through France the other day, because I just needed to stay awake, or it will be when I'm 11:30 midnight when I'm burning the midnight oil trying to catch up on some work.
Mm-hmm.
I'll put it on the smart TV in the background, just so I don't feel like I'm sat downstairs on my own.
Yeah.
And it's like having them 2 in the room with me. It's quite nice. But so viewer retention wise, I've watched the whole thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean I've watched it. So sometimes I think the more kind of boring and backgroundy the video, on paper, it's got 100% retention because I just leave it playing as background noise. but it doesn't mean I'm engaged with it. Whereas if the irony is, if it was slightly more interesting, I might turn over to the TV and listen to it more, grab the remote, and then maybe halfway through I've turned it over or started scrolling.
Yeah, YouTube exists to make money, and that's it. So most people watching it don't have YouTube Premium or don't have AdBlock.
True.
Even though it's on in the background, that video's played. YouTube got paid for that.
Yeah.
So it's okay.
Yeah.
But if you're Bikes Online or a brand that's working with those guys, then like you quote unquote wasting money because the guy's not even paying attention.
Yeah.
So yeah, different thing there. But yeah, for the guys, my advice to Jesse and Chris is don't stick to the weekly upload. Only upload when there's something interesting going, or have more guests back on because like we said before, those two have had every conversation going now, and I think some of my favourite shows of theirs have been when they've had like Tyler, the VC on there.
Yeah, someone completely off the wall.
Yeah, just have someone who's got
Lantern Rouge.
Yeah, someone who's got a totally different opinion. Yeah. Get Duran Rider on.
I think that works. Get Duran Rider on. I think he'd jump at the chance.
Let's start an online petition. Let's get Harley.
Get Harley and Natasha on.
And in the studio.
Natasha in the studio. I want to see what Natasha does in the studio. Uncontrolled.
It'd be interesting. Other podcasts.
Bless the cotton socks. Let's talk about podcasts, but I want to talk about the Lantern Rouge podcast,
which I don't watch. So you
don't watch that, and it's a super popular podcast, but for me it's like seasonal. If I'm really in tune with racing or Pro Tour stuff, I'll watch it. But if theirs is one dimensional. I think it only talks about tactics and racing and the controversy in racing. But it still has a wide appeal, but very seasonal.
Did they talk about why Podgy didn't go to the Olympics?
I think they did a podcast on that. But like, I didn't even watch any of the tour this year because I was mountain biking and I just got out of love with road cycling.
Every industry you can shine lights around and find stuff like this. So like, if Sirocco came over to you and offered you big money, and you genuinely liked the kit,
if I genuinely liked the kit,
then fair play.
This is so the Velo Forte people. Just to put this out there, they gave me free food. I fucking love food. Right, I love eating, and I genuinely love their products because I don't like SIS gels. I don't like Morton. Fucking expensive Morton stuff. So is Velo Forte, to be fair. But I genuinely love the stuff. So I took it. I was like, I'll put your banner on the start of a video for free if you send me a box of goodies every month whilst I'm training in the summer. And if I genuinely like the stuff, I'll do it. So if Sirocco sent me some bibs, and these are super comfy, no saddle sores, weren't too short because I never get bibs that fit me, I'd take it. I'm all about ESG and stuff, but would I look too deeply into their accounts and how they were doing things? Maybe just out of interest, but I probably wouldn't let it stop me. Unless they're exploiting people, unless they're fucking human trafficking, then I would definitely not go for it. But how many YouTubers are doing DD on fucking sponsors?
Yeah.
I don't think they are.
No, yeah, but like as a YouTuber or any influencer, it is the dream when a brand that you actually genuinely love says, let's work together and I'll pay you. Yeah. Like for me, it's Insta360, the one I can think of. Like before they reached out to me, I was a paying customer, and like NorCal Cycling did a video of their stuff back in the day, and he wasn't using it right. It's long story short, I called him out for it, and then Insta360 came up to me like, yo, we're trying to work together, and that's dream because I've been a paying customer, I've been in the fields fighting your fight, and now you want to work with me. That's cool. When I made that NorCal video, in no frame of thought was like, oh, I'm going to make this video to get a free camera for Insta360. That would have been the most wild out plan ever. But when it comes together, that's great. So, and I've met quite a few YouTubers at this point, quite a few influencers, blah, blah, blah. I'd say about half of the influencers or half of the brand deals are people they're really, really cool to be down. But the other half are like, okay, I'm going to use these wheels for this year, and hopefully next year Zip will sponsor me. Or
it's like a stepping stone.
Yeah, I'm going to use this one, and then I'm going to give the brand that I actually want. I'm going to have some, some data to show them how many impressions I got, and blah 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 blah. So, it is what it is. Consume everything with a grain of salt and all this jazz. I don't know what this is related to podcasts, but
no, we've gone back to sponsorship again. But I guess it ties in.
Yeah, I mean, but like a subject that I'm pretty passionate about is just like the economics of YouTube and the bike industry in general, because it's totally different to lots of other industries, especially if we talk about racing, and how the bike industry makes money. Like, you go watch the Tour de France at the side of the road, you don't buy a ticket.
No.
So where's the money come from? Every sport, the money has to come from somewhere. So the bike industry, it's got to come from buying stuff.
Yeah.
And if you that you've got a Peugeot over there, which is like 30 years old, 40 years old.
40 years
Still
old.
rides. The tyres are probably 30 years old. I saw they put.
I tell you, there's a fuck sight more quality in that bike than there is on the Tevelo, or any. No, not just picking on Tevelo. Any on a road bike.
Well, we don't know how much
That's
trouble the
40
mechanic
years
had putting
old.
that together.
The quill stem
Uh-huh.
is genius.
Yeah.
Anyone can jump on it and change the stack.
Yep.
The stack of the frame can be changed by about that much with one bolt.
Yep.
It don't slip.
Yep.
It hasn't seized in 40 years.
Uh-huh.
That sort of quality has been forgotten.
Yeah.
It just works.
Yeah. But
it's heavy.
yeah. But we have to keep money coming into the industry, and if everyone was just riding 40-year-old Peugeots, there'd be no money. So. One more night.
So I asked Joe, is there any frame companies in China ready to go direct to consumer without any intervention or like finishing house? He said no, but let's revisit that topic. What about components? Wheels, I think we've got to that stage now with like Elite and people like that.
Yeah, so I think wheels, especially because there's the few big OEMers around Xiamen that everyone knows who, you tell them what you want, they'll slap your logo on it, and then you can just start selling wheels, basically. So
passport.
Yeah. So I think like as you said, the wheels are ready to go because there's so many people who can just ask for a wheel, a slap logo, and you can start selling it. So the barrier to entry's gone down. Components also getting better, and I think like we're seeing more and more creep into the West, creep into the mainstream as well. Like obviously one example which I'm flying the flag of and a big believer in is the Cybre stuff. I brought you over a hand-delivered Cybre crankset.
So I'll be shilling those.
Chain rings, yeah, all aboard the shill train. But, I mean, they must be pretty decent because, as I was talking about on Instagram a few days ago, Podgy was using Cybre cranks. So
at the tour?
Yeah.
Or Olympics as well?
I don't think he went to the Olympics.
Oh, of course he didn't.
There's something about...
He just didn't fancy...
Yeah,
Didn't fancy being an Olympian in the same year as the Giro on the Tour, did he?
No, the weather...
Didn't want to do the triple.
Yeah, no.
Because that comes around every year. You get a chance to do the triple.
Yeah.
Oh, anyway.
No,
but what an endorsement.
So on his TT bike, a few of the outlets picked up on it. Escape, those guys did that and stuff. But basically, his TT bike was fully tricked out. Like he had a Daramo seat post and a few components that he doesn't run on his road bike, like marginal gains, all that jazz. And one of the things was he had the SRM Origin crank and power meter.
Yep.
And those cranks, so if you saw my Sea Otter video a few months ago, I went to the SRM stand and they were like, these cranks are made by Cybre. And even on the inside of the cranks is a Cybre logo. It's exactly the same crank, but they put it with their... It's not exactly the same crank because the interface between the Spider and the cranks is the SRM standard as opposed to the Eastern standard, which is the standard one for that. But the SRM version, they take the Cybre cranks, they pair it with the SRM power meter, and it's good enough for Podgy.
Yeah.
And also 165 cranks, the same cranks that I run. So
you'll basically come out the same mould.
Yeah, my cranks, as far as I know, came out the same mould as Podgy's.
Whose were moulded first? Yours, presumably.
Of course. OG.
So there's some of your crank probably on his cranks.
Yeah, like on
a small microscopic carbon dust
I'm
level.
sure Cybre clean all of the moulds very well between batches.
I'm sure they do. I'm sure they ultrasound them every time.
Oh yeah. But so I'm basically Podgy, is what I'm saying.
Okay, great. Well, so that's a good endorsement. That's one example.
But just
however,
jokes aside,
just calling out Cybre for a minute.
Go for it.
The tool that you need to assemble the Spider onto the crank, onto that thread. Sorry, it's not thread, is it? It's like a lock ring. The lock ring tool that you put the Spider on the crank with is a Shimano square taper bottom bracket removal tool.
Correct.
With the old bottom brackets had the internal spline.
Correct.
What the fuck?
But
who buying a Cybre crank has got another bike with a square taper bottom bracket on it? Unless you're a track rider, maybe an old track rider.
Yeah.
I haven't got one of them. I don't even know if I can buy that anymore.
But so if you think about it, you've got to have something that the ID is bigger than the dub.
Yeah.
And the OD can't be too big because otherwise then your Spider interface.
So if it was me, Cybre, I would have created my own spline and just made a tool and shipped it with the cranks. A small machine tool ain't going to cost them that much.
I don't think it's about tooling. I think it's me personally. I mean, you're the engineer. I'd rather it not be proprietary. I'd rather be if I'm on holiday in France and my Spider.
True, you can go into any bike shop.
Go to a bike
you can
shop.
go to a really old school French bike shop and they'll definitely have one to take one out of the Peugeot.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I see what you mean. Okay. Yeah, but it's a weird standard to go with.
I totally agree.
Because I'm gonna have to bang it around with a screwdriver.
The
screwdriver and a hammer going look.
Yeah, don't worry. Just weld it in.
Yeah.
It'll never come out. But again, these are the
small things.
Yeah, Cyber they've been making this for like a year and a half now, and it's their first generation of crank as well.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's going to be refinements in the future, but I've been loving mine. I've got them on way too many of my bikes now because that's the thing. As soon as you get a nice crank on one bike, next time you build a bike, you're like, oh.
So I'm going to be putting it, we think, on the crap bellow.
Whichever
the only issue I have with it is I'm going to be pushing the limits of bottom bracket load factor, because I'm putting it's a 29mm axle, dub axle.
Yes.
In a PF86 frame.
Yep, Hambini's not.
Which makes the bearings as small as. You know when you're a kid and you go to someone's birthday party and you have a cake, and someone's mum makes a cake and you have white icing on it and they put them tiny little like silver balls on.
Oh yeah.
That's about the size of the ball bearings that come in the. I can't remember what they call them, but they come in a little pot. Sprinkle them on top. That's about the size of the ball bearings in those bottom brackets. I think they're dual row to give it a bit more load rating, but interesting to see how that bottom bracket, how it lasts.
Yeah.
I think it's going to last very long.
Of all my Cyber bottom brackets. On all of my bikes, and lots of them are PF86.
Yeah.
I've killed one side of one bottom bracket on my Cavello Attack, and you saw footage earlier of my upcoming Polygon review. Like the stuff I ride in
wet.
Yeah,
a lot of wet.
It was supposed to be. It's usually the rainy season in Shaman in April. This year it was a 3-month rainy season.
Jesus.
And I was riding in all of it.
Yeah.
And I've killed one bearing. So.
Okay. Any other products really ready for the Western market, direct from China?
So I've got so many products these days that start with "It's a great product, but
the name."
Well, the name is the big one, because like if it's a great product but it's not safe, then it's not going on the site. Or if it's a great product but it's too expensive, maybe it'll go on the site, but like I won't like tell everyone to buy it. But the big one that sometimes goes on the site is, because it's subjective, is it's a great product but the name, or it's a great product but the paint job's ugly. Like that'll make its way on the site, because hey, you think it's ugly, someone else might think it's good. But yeah, the examples I can think of, number one is Big Rock.
Big Rock.
People have seen on my channels or whatever.
Big Rock.
I've got some Big Rock these days. But as a product, like, can't fault it, because we mentioned yesterday, but we mentioned it a bit today. Like the price of the Tavello is creeping up. Like we're getting up to $2,000 now.
Too much.
But the Big Rock is still the sweet spot of like $1,100, $1,200. And quality-wise, the frame is very decent. Like again, I don't want to give a full-out review because I'm biased and yada yada yada. But anecdotally, as I said earlier, every Tavello frame we give it the QC, the once over. We do the same with Big Rock and the same with all our brands. And Big Rock, they get a very, I'm not going to say specifics, but they've got the highest, I think, or one of the highest pass rates of our own QC. So,
do they do an XL? Because a lot of these Chinese frames, you go to like 58 and above, the geometry is so weird, or it doesn't exist.
No, the bigger size stuff, I think the biggest one for their climbing bike, I think, is a 58 they've got now.
Right.
But again, I'm not sure how much steer tube you're going to have sticking out.
They're just too low.
I'd have to have a look.
Oh, don't get me started on the steerer tube on the Tavello. That steerer tube's not even been cut. That's the longest. That's how it came out the box, and it saved me a job.
It's a feature.
It saved me a job. I did not have to cut the steerer. They decided my bike fit for me, but look at the fucking drop from the bar. That's my seat height at that seat post there, and
Aero, bro.
It's not Aero,
for
mate.
3 minutes.
Being low, kneeing yourself in
3 minutes.
Kneeing yourself in the chest is not fast. I don't care. It's nothing to do with flexibility.
No, yeah.
Anyway,
we've had this conversation.
Yeah.
But yeah, so go back to the Big Rock again. Not put a foot wrong. I took it to I took it to America, like the super light team edition, which is like 680 grams, and like actually 680 grams, not like without paint and without accessories. And yeah, not put a foot wrong, but it's just got Big Rock written on the side of it in big white letters. And every time I mention it, Cam Nichols comes in my comment section like, can I ride your big skunk?
Why don't they just change the name?
Bro.
Change the name, that's all. Just go on to ChatGPT, say give me a one word, 2 syllables, sounds fast, sounds friendly, organic, for a bike company. Bosh.
In
Why Big Rock?
Because
do they sell to China?
Yeah, quite a lot.
So they sell a lot to China?
Yeah.
And do the Chinese people love the name Big Rock?
They don't get
it.
It's like how foreigners have a Chinese tattoo on the shoulder.
I don't know any.
My sister and my brother-in-law
have Chinese tattoos.
Both have Chinese tattoos.
Have they ever been to China? No.
They've both been to China.
Oh, okay, that's fine. That's fine then. Qualified.
Yeah.
Basically native.
My sister has I, which love.
That's all right, as long as it doesn't mean like.
But then my brother-in-law
wrong.
has Ben, which means like stupid or foolish. But he knows it means stupid.
He knows
foolish.
that.
Yeah,
It wasn't a bad translation.
Well, maybe. But again, people just see Chinese, they're like, "Whoa, that's cool."
I think getting a Chinese tattoo was like very 90s.
Yeah, like I'm showing my age and my sister's age. My sister's older than me.
Yeah, like in the 2000s, maybe it was cool, but like the tribal tattoo thing. Who's getting tribal tattoos now?
Okay, Super Dry as a brand, like it's a London brand, but they put Japanese over everything because people think it looks cool, right? Yeah. Same thing. Big rock, full circle, and I'm not generalizing. Obviously, lots of Chinese they don't think it's cool, but lots of Chinese also think, "Oh, big rock, don't care what it says, it looks cool."
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's one, and also Big Rock just came out with an Aero frame, which again, super cheap, not heavy, nice, thick, manly Aero tubes.
Oh God!
But it's got Big Rock written on the side of it.
Does it look like an Elvis?
No.
God, that's ticking my box.
Yeah.
I particularly don't like elves.
But then the other one, again, similar sort of thing, is the Quick Pro.
Again, what a weird name.
You see, for me...
If you turn up to the cafe ride on that and you're a fat fucking Barry and you've got Quick Pro written on your bike, this is so sad.
So for me, like, I like Quick Pro, like, because it's so bad it's good.
Yeah. I just want, instead of Quick Pro, just slow amateur. I think that would sell. Because you're sort of sandbagging.
Yeah.
You're not giving out any false pretense, are you?
But, like...
Slow amateur.
As someone who, very ironically, used to put, like, the boy racer cars with the shopping list on the door.
Oh yeah, of all the parts that they haven't got. Yeah.
Like to me, like having Quick Pro on the bike is just like the
K&N.
thing. Like, I love triggering people and just having Quick Pro on it. But again, name is name. Absolutely sick bike. Coming to Pandapodium soon. I've got mine, and mine that I've designed a paint job for doesn't say Quick Pro in big
Well, that's
letters.
the thing. If you can cover it up, or you still have to have it.
So mine says Quick Pro
on the chainstay. Just put a sticker over it or something. Or get so much heel rub you can rub it off.
See what letters you can change, because Big Rock, obviously, with some Tipex pen, you can make it.
Anagrams of Quick Pro, put them down in the comment section below.
What can we make Quick Pro into?
I'm not sure you're going to do a lot with that because of the queue.
Yeah, Scrabble experts unite in the comments. Quick Pro, what can we rearrange the letters for?
Can't think of any right now.
Okay. What else is on the horizon? Lots of wheels coming out soon.
Yawn.
Yeah,
I'm so bored of wheels. I'm so bored of wheels.
One part.
They're all really good, right? On the whole.
One part of Pandapodium that people don't know, we're also like a marketing agency now. So like we help these Chinese brands to like do the websites or write some blurb and stuff. And if I have to write another product description for a carbon,
ChatGPT will do it for you, mate.
But no, even that. Like,
but that's what you're doing.
It's not. I wouldn't stoop to those levels, but. It's mind-numbing at this point. Like, I'm done. Buy CRWs. There's nothing else.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a massive fan of testing wheels anymore.
Yeah.
Because to get to, the aerodynamics are all really good. Like, we've both done the testing. At 50mm deep wheel from one brand versus another one, as long as the rim profiles are fairly modern, there's not a lot of choice between them in terms of aerodynamics. The weight... CRW is sort of a little bit in front of everyone else because they're so much lighter, but the weight isn't massive, especially if you're my size, doesn't give a fucking matter at all. Then the only things that you can do by testing takes months.
Yeah.
So, and I'm talking about like longevity testing, like durability, bearing life. That takes months. It takes lots of riding in fucking rain, like not washing the bike or washing the bike. Riding it in the pissing rain and leaving it in a hot shed or something, that takes months. And that's fucking hard work if you're not getting paid to do it. And then once you've got, three in your garage, 3 sets of wheels on test, like, if you're not a full-time athlete, it's impossible to do.
I agree.
It's impossible. And like, for me, that's where the difference in wheels is. It's like, how do they perform in a year's time? Are the bearings fucked?
Yeah.
Is the axle fucked? Are the end caps all right? Like, and you can't do that easily.
Yeah.
And that's why wheel testing is boring, man. Like, it's hard work.
Yeah. I'm very fortunate now, like, 2 of my guys, like, a bunch of the guys at Pandapodium are cyclists, but especially like Ben and Tom. So, Ben, like, his Big Rock frame, like, we gave to him or whatever. And Tom's, he's going to be riding the Quick Pro. And so, like, I have these 2 guys. One segment on our podcast in the past was the Cool Wall.
Cool Wall.
Obviously ripping off Top Gear because we're as shilly as they
They're gone now, so we're allowed to.
Okay, yeah. So cool wall. We pick a topic and say whether we think it's cool or not. I think we can. Do you want to start by revisiting one of the old ones?
Yeah.
So back in the day, I think we had gravel as a topic on the cool wall.
Controversial. I slated it, didn't I?
I was a fan. I liked being underbiked and stuff, but you slated it. But you didn't just slate gravel in general. You were.
Oh, I slated gravel specific components, and I still do. No one needs gravel shoes, gravel saddles.
Only gravel bikes use a cyclocross bike.
Gravel bib, cyclocross bike. Just wear mountain bike shoes. Same thing. Cheaper. Mountain bike tyres. Better. Cheaper. Avoid the gravel tax. Let's be clear, right? Avoid the gravel tax. Since I've had a gravel bike, I've never used gravel tyres because the riding I do is more a cross of mountain biking and gravel, and it's just tested. Mountain bike tyres are faster. I mean, even Dylan Johnson's going to tell you that. Even on like fairly good gravel, mountain bike tyres tend to be faster. So, and the funny thing is, if you do buy a top-end gravel tyre, it's like 50% more money because the gravel niche is like, I don't know, it attracts like higher incomes. I don't know. It just seems like everything in gravel is more expensive. So, I was still running a 105 mech on that bike. Never drop a chain. I think it's dropped once with an Aero wide chainring. And on with the rear mech, you can actually increase the spring tension. Not many people know about that. If you take off the lower cage,
do another circle.
No, not another circle. I think that'd be too much. But you can put it in. There's normally 2 holes.
Okay.
Put it in the next hole up. It gives you more spring tension on the lower mech, so the lower mech holds the chain back harder.
Okay.
You know, the purists on the road won't like that because maybe it's like a fraction of a watt more chain loss. But use a 105 mech, not a fucking GRX. It's cheaper. Anyway, this gravel-specific products, I think a lot of it's marketing. But riding gravel, I slated it in that podcast we did ages ago.
I got a mountain bike.
At the time I was riding my hardtail everywhere. I thought this is good enough. But actually, you're right. Being underbiked on some of the single track, feeling like you might go over the bars, is quite fun. And then when you get to the road section, in what Aero, you go faster. And it's just, I've ridden that Yolio bike. I slated it for the geometry. And I stand by that. But it's been the bike I've ridden the most last year. I fucking love it. If I've got a day off work where it's road bike, let's say if it's sunny, it's not raining, road bike or gravel, I'll take the gravel bike and I'll even drive to the start of the ride.
Yeah, where we
were yesterday, because you're out in the forest, no drivers to worry about, no aggression, and you don't feel the climbs.
Yeah.
Like if you do 800 meters of climbing in 30k or whatever, if you feel that on the road bike, it'd be a hilly ride. But on the gravel bike, it seems like because you're in better scenery, in a more relaxed mood, you just don't feel the elevation.
Yeah.
And really good training.
Yeah, I'm jealous.
Super good training.
Like I said, one reason for coming over was to open my eyes to UK riding, yada yada yada. And one thing has been
bad
gravel
weather.
Because the bad weather.
Worse food.
So the best British food is Hong Kong food.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Heard it here first. But yeah, so the gravel scene here, like we simply do not have roads, or at least quote unquote.
Do not have roads.
We do not have roads in China.
You've got amazing roads, mate.
Yeah, all the roads are too good in China, so it's really hard to find good gravel to ride. But yeah, very jealous because I love I've got 3 gravel bikes back in Xiamen with nowhere to ride them, and my G Major I think is one of the most underrated Chinese bikes in the world.
Right.
The G Major is so frustrating for me because it's such a good bike, but because I'm the only one who basically has one of the YouTubers or whatever, like I can't say how good I think it is because it will just sound like a shill.
Yeah.
Which is a shame.
No one else to validate.
I'm so scared.
Yeah.
Of it sounding like shilly that I won't be truthful.
Considering you run an online shop, I think you're doing pretty well.
Yeah,
you've dodged the radar so far.
Yeah, I've not been attacked yet. But yeah, if someone had to ask me what is the most underrated Chinese product, it is the G Major frame.
The voice
fellow.
Yeah. I like the voice fellow.
But we talked about it in your sizes.
It doesn't exist.
Well, number 1 doesn't exist, but number 2, even down from your size, I think the stack to reach.
Is it the 56? Is the 56 the biggest one?
I can't even remember the actual size.
So I really wanted to get hold of one of these because I met the voice fellow guy. Is it Bruce?
Yeah, Bruce.
I met him at Eurobike. Not this one gone, but the previous one.
Yep.
Super cool guy.
Yeah, he's hardcore.
Insanely good cross-country mountain biker.
Yeah, the first Chinese guy to do the Cape
Epic. Yeah, he's a solid dude. Knows how to make a bike to ride, and they just don't make one in my size. And the other thing I think lets it down. I'm so converted to the mountain bike tyres on the gravel bike. If it ain't 50, it looking shifty.
Oh,
I need
where's the t-shirt?
At least a 50mm tyre, which in mountain bike terms is 2.1. 2.1 and above, because you can't get 2.0s. It doesn't exist. So 2.1 and above is what I'm after. I don't think the G Major would fit it.
And
I think it's 40mm max, 45mm max.
But again, horses for courses. The gravel we were doing yesterday was pretty gnarly here.
Yeah.
And so I can see you need that. But the gravel we do in Shaman is not that gnarly.
It's just quite smooth.
Yeah. Me doing like 38s on my semi-skimmed gravel
is
probably the same as you rocking 50s on the full fat gravel.
Yeah,
so like
true.
Horses for courses, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But just because you've got the tyre clearance doesn't mean you need to use it.
Correct.
So if you can spec it for 52s, you can still ride 38s.
But there'll be some compromises with the rest of the design.
Hardly.
Like the size of your chain ring.
The thing is the chain ring. If the thing is, I think gravel bikes need to go to the mountain bike shell width.
Boost.
We're using mountain bike maybe boost, but I think it's the shell width also. Because the drive side chainstay yoke is getting really thin, which is the bit that snakes past the tyre, between the tyre and the chain ring. And sometimes, like when I started riding this bike, I had a Shimano double on there, a road double, and it didn't really fit. And then if you get to a state where the chainstay becomes so thin, it starts to become really weak, and it can compromise the structure. And then in the end, they make that bit in solid.
But
so the bladder don't go through it, and it becomes heavy, So
even road tyres are getting bigger and bigger. Like
road tyres are getting bigger.
At what point are road bike chainstays going to start being like,
Well, you look at Specialized tarmac. They actually use a really skinny chainstay.
Yeah.
Because they're on a BSA shell.
Yeah.
Which is only 68mm. External cup, so you're losing that width for chainstay stiffness, and they want big tyre clearance. The chainstays are really quite skinny, but weirdly, people stay at super stiff pedaling bike. I don't know. There's definitely something not right there.
Yeah.
It's just maybe a placebo, but if you put it on a test rig, I bet it's not that stiff out of plane. But anyway, I think gravel bikes, to fit bigger tyres in better, they need to go to a mountain bike shell, which is slightly larger, and that's going to affect your Q factor.
Or another new standard. Some can pioneer another new standard.
What I'd like to see is a mountain bike shell with specific cranks to bring that extra width back to a road Q factor, and it's doable. You just bring the crank arms back in.
Yeah. You might get some rub on the cranks. I think one of your cranks has got pretty bad. Oh, it was the.
That's my heel, I think, on the chainstay.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we can get around.
Well, when you've got shoes like 48, they always rub the chainstay. You can't do anything about it.
Don't have that problem.
When you're sprinting, you have to be fucking careful. You don't put your foot through the chainstay. Also, this is a problem with large shoes. And I think, but obviously, boost would make that worse. So I don't think it's the rear axle so much. I think it's the chainstay area needs to grow a bit, and the shell width. But anyway.
But in summary, gravel. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you've got the terrain, if you haven't got the terrain, don't bother. Like if I lived in a part of the UK where there's lots of it like this, the only place you can go is like down the canal path, and you're dodging dog shit. Not cool. I should only be wiping dog shit off the bike or like.
Yeah, gravel for the sake of gravel.
Yeah, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe for a commuter bike in the winter, it's cool. It's a bit comfier, a bit more grip, a bit more safety, a bit you can bunny up curves and stuff a bit easier, maybe.
Next topic for cool or uncool. Aero sensors, because we both have. You've got more experience with me with different brands of aero sensors, but one that we both have the same.
Only 2 or 3. I've tried 3 so far.
Triple my experience.
Yeah.
But we both have the Ghibli, which I put a video.
The Ghibli's good.
A month or so ago, I think you're doing a video, or at least you've been using it.
I will start to do one. Yeah.
I'm sure it's going to be a bit more of a deep technical dive than mine. But so far, well, I'm not going to put words in your mouth. How are you finding yours?
I'm finding, well, let's talk about in general. I've used 3 Aero sensors: Aero Lab, Noshio, and Ghibli. And Ghibli, being the latest one, obviously you'd expect it to be the most developed one, and it definitely is. And it all comes down to the app, I think, for me. I think a lot of the hardware is probably quite similar to the others. I don't know the specs of like the components and stuff, but I think a lot of the components are the same, processors and things like this. But the app is what sets it apart, and the integration with your Garmin head unit. And you can even integrate it with Garmin Watch. So there's a Garmin Connect IQ app.
Yep.
So you can start and stop the unit, monitor it from your watch if you don't want to take your hands off the bars and stuff to get your phone out of your pocket. But essentially, you're getting a lifetime CDA on the bike, which I think is pretty cool. I don't know how good it's going to be, riding around day to day, but it's there as a training tool. So this is a training tool, right? It's like a power meter. You can use it in 2 different ways. You can have a lifetime CDA to get to tell you to be more aero. So you just look at your Garmin, it tells you CDA, or you can do specific out and backs, which is what I use it for. I don't really use the live update, the live timing, thing. I use the out and backs to do like the wheel tests, the helmet tests, and even for me, just deciding which helmet to use in a TT. I know the answer. It's clear as day. Once I've done the test, the out and backs, they're repeated. One road helmet's faster than another, I'm going to use that road helmet. And it's just things like I said in the video previously, like the difference between my 2 road helmets is much bigger than the difference between all the wheels that I've got on test.
Yeah.
So just things like that. Once it's gone out of like, I wonder if, you can just move on. And it just gives so much data. And it's like democratizing the wind tunnel thing as well. Because if you're an amateur athlete or a junior, you ain't got the time or money to go to a wind tunnel because they're all booked. First, it's all the pro teams. Then you got like all the rich age group of triathletes, and then all the crit racing guys want to get sessions. Like they're all booked up. And if you can get a session, they're super expensive. Whereas if you've got a coach in your local cycling club who's got a Ghibli or an Aero Lab or No Show or whatever, it's going to be a lot cheaper to go and do a day session with him on an out and back course. Obviously, there are variables, right? So there's the wind, the rolling resistance, and stuff which needs to be controlled. So you have to be educated on how to use it. And you've got the athlete's got to be patient to know what they're doing. It could affect the readings, but it's sort of like democratizing the aero. And then seeing as that is what 80% of our effort goes against, and up till now we had no idea of how to overcome it. Yeah. It's literally the next big frontier in bike tech.
Yeah,
definitely.
In my video, I think I was equating it to like early day pound meters.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Because back in the day, there are so many parallels the same. Like number one, it's new tech, so it's not super polished yet. Like the original power tap rear hubs. If you went up a lung climb and by the end of the climb the temperature's gone down 10 degrees and the watts would be overreading by however much or whatever.
Yeah.
So there are all these things that will get better as technology matures and stuff. The price is still pretty high. Again, the first power tap hubs were crazy expensive and all this jazz. The Ghibli it's not crazy expensive. I think it's like £1,200 or whatever. And we were saying the other day, something like a wheel set. You buy a wheel set, let's say £1,200. The next day you're faster if you're going from alloy box wheels or whatever. But you buy the Ghibli or you buy a pound meter, you put it on your bike. The next day you probably even got slower because it has weight, it has drag. But it's a tool to make you faster. Yeah. And again, there's so much on the table. Like you just said, like
a lot of it's body position. So, those gains that you will get from investing in it are all free.
Yeah.
Because it's about how you set up the stem, how you set up the bars, the bar width. It's all
HUD point in, HUD point out. There's so many things. Like because I don't care who it is. All of these aero gurus, whether they're YouTubers or non-YouTubers, but whoever you think it is, they all, if they're worth the salt, they all say the same thing. Aero, it's not black and white in terms of
can't see aero.
Testing asks, leads to more questions than answers often.
Hashtag can't see aero.
Hashtag can't see aero.
What you think would be fast always isn't. Sometimes.
And what's faster for them may not be faster for you. Yeah. And what's faster on that bike might not be faster on this bike. Like different wheels and different tyres and different bikes because the interaction between the down tube and the forks. Whole can of worms. But the Ghibli, it's you on your bike, on your roads, with your body in your position, so you can literally find the fastest setup for you.
I mean, obviously this applies to only the sort of top end of cycling performance. Like there'll be a lot of people in the comments saying, just go and fucking ride your bike. It doesn't matter how aero you are. Like I agree.
The best thing
about riding your bike is going out and de-stressing, getting the wind in your hair. Let's not argue about that. But if you're a racer or you want to go fast and you want to beat your PBs, like I don't race, but I do TTs just to race myself. If I want to beat my PBs, and I'm just interested in seeing how I can go faster. Sometimes interested how to go faster with less power. Yeah. So my 2 10-mile PBs this year were on lower power than last year.
With a trick handlebar.
With a trick handlebar.
Because the trick handlebar, but the trick handlebar hasn't got some crazy aero.
No, it's not about aero shape of the handlebar. It's about how it enables the body position and sustainable body position to go faster. Yep. And something like, obviously you can test it in a race and say, I went 30 seconds quicker tonight on less power. But without the aero sensor, you don't know if
Was it the air density?
Was it the density? Was it the wind conditions?
Was the tyres a bit harder?
Exactly. But with the aero sensor, all that can be explained. So I think it's cool. If you're into the data, I think it's cool.
And one thing we were talking about before, or we talked about yesterday, is that okay, cool, I just said it's not polished and it's expensive now and it'll get more polished and it'll get cheaper. And so lots of people's instinct is like, okay, I'll wait then. Yeah. But then if you wait and everyone's got them, then you're going to lose that competitive edge. So if you do want it for the competitive edge, I'd say be an early adopter, put the work in, and yeah, try switch from those games because I think there's so much on the table. Like,
Yep.
and these days, lots of my testing is not for me. Like, I'm trying to help my customers to find the best thing for them or something. But I would love just to have like a month of testing, like 3 or 4 sessions a week, and just finding the fastest setup for me. Like absolutely everything. Okay, today 5 helmets. Tomorrow 5 gloves. Tomorrow 5 skin suits. Tomorrow 5 wheels, 5 tires.
Helmets is a big one.
There'd be so much on the table, I reckon. And that's before you get in positions. So.
Yeah, positions is the first thing you got to start with.
Well, yeah, because obviously if you change all your kit and then you change the position, you probably.
I'm telling you now that I don't know if you can see it just in the shot, but that rim brake TCR in that setup is faster than this Tavello would ever be with that handlebar. And look at it, it's a climbing bike with pretty shallow wheels, but the body position on that bike that I can hold versus Tavello with that handlebar is 30 seconds quicker on a 10 mile TT. I could do that, and I can tell you now, I've done it so many times on that bike with less power than a normal handlebar setup. So it's all about body position.
Yep.
Forget the aero. The aerodynamics is like the cherry on the cake. The aerodynamics of the frame, the NACA profiles, you know, the drop seat stays. That is the last thing you want to be worried about.
Yeah. I mean, we were watching the Olympics yesterday, and you know, some guy lost by 0.007 seconds. Okay, at this point, your NACA profile tubes and stuff.
That could make the difference.
That's going to make the difference.
Agreed. Yeah.
But losing the local TT by 30 seconds.
That's body position.
You're not getting it back from that.
Yeah, exactly.
Agree.
Well, I'm going to put you on the spot.
Oh shit.
Tell me something you think is uncool.
In general?
Yeah.
Like gatekeeping.
Whatever. Something.
No, I mean like I think gatekeeping is uncool.
Oh. Okay. Sorry, I was half asleep.
We were on a ride yesterday, and we
Gatekeeping.
saw. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like cycling should be for everyone. I don't give a crap what you're riding. I don't give a crap about anything.
Yeah, go on, explain what you mean.
So.
What happened yesterday then?
What was her name? Doreen on the time, or whatever her name was.
Okay.
That was great. Like.
Yeah.
So we stop at a coffee shop on our bikes, and there's some lady there on a nice.
Simon's wife.
Simon,
if you're watching.
On a very trick.
Shout out to, what her name wasn't Doreen. Joe, I think her name is.
Oh yeah, maybe her name was Joe.
I have good memory.
I should remember that name.
Yeah, I think her name was Joe. Anyway, we'll call her Joe for the sake of it.
Joe.
We met this guy outside the coffee shop.
And his missus was there on a
Missus
nice
was there on
trick.
a very, very nice road bike.
Time, whatever the time.
And she had imposter syndrome?
I think so.
I don't even know what that is. I'm thinking I know what that is. Is it when you feel like you're not worthy?
Yeah, like you feel like you don't belong. Like this is, I'm not a cyclist.
She was on a very nice gravel bike.
Uh-huh.
Fucking the nicest new beginner bike I've ever seen.
Yeah, I was like,
tricked out.
It's your first day.
And she basically felt embarrassed.
Yeah.
Because she was on a nice bike.
Yeah.
I was like, lap it up.
Yeah.
And it's sick.
And also, like, so I brought over my little stain peg for this ride here, which, if you don't know, is like a 20-inch wheel bike. Even me, when I first saw it, I thought it was a clown bike. Like,
it does look like a bit of a clown bike.
But you get on it, and it is the shit.
We're going to do an Aero test on his mini Velo, 20-inch wheel thing.
It is the shit.
I think it might be faster than a big bike because it's got tiny wheels.
Tiny wheels.
Tiny wheels.
I can get so low. I've got basically no limit.
You're very low to the ground.
But anyway,
very little frontal area. Anyway, carry on.
When I was in a few rides around my home, like I'd wave to people on like their BMC or the nice posh bike.
They wouldn't wave back.
Don't wave back.
They'd be like, "Who's this guy?"
And I was talking to the guy who I rode with, Harry, on the Tavello, and he was saying
he didn't talk to you the whole ride.
He was saying he gets the stink eye from people because he's on the Tavello as well.
Bullshit. I don't agree with that. Because if you flash past someone on a Tavello, someone quickly seeing it's going to think it's just another Aero bike.
No, I mean like at the coffee shop or.
Oh really? Who are these people, mate? It's just a southern thing. It doesn't happen up here.
Okay,
they don't have that snobbery up here.
But in general, I'm like, no matter what it is, YouTube or anything, I just don't like gatekeeping. Like let everyone ride a bike. Don't tell people.
Yeah, don't feel bad because you've got a nice bike. If you're a newbie who's got a nice bike, whether you bought it, given it, whatever, just fucking ride it. It's sick.
And don't get sucked into everyone telling you need this, you need that, you need to shave your legs.
Or people think you should have qualified to have a nice bike.
Yeah.
The people that think you need to start on a rim brake bike, like no, fuck that.
Or even
if you want a nice bike with disc brakes, it's safer. Just go for it.
Or even an opinion as well. Like people think that you don't get an opinion because you're not qualified to have an opinion. Like no, it's my opinion. Like, So just let's have less gatekeeping on bikes. So I'll say gatekeeping is uncool. Is what I'll say. What do you think is uncool?
Weight weenies. Fuck. 50%.
The forum or
of
the people
on there, I reckon, are paid shills, or just someone in an office working at a brand. She's got a whole fake persona of, I'm an independent dude. I bought this it's so amazing. Here is my review. I mean, I think a lot of people do buy something and they want to tell the world about it, so they'll sit down and write a review on weight weenies. But I think there's a lot of people on there, and I don't frequent it a lot. Is that good grammar, or I just don't frequent it? Yeah, I don't frequent it a lot. Would be
redundant.
Yeah,
maybe
redundant. I think a lot of it stinks of just like this has been written by someone from a company.
That's interesting. Yeah.
And because it's not YouTube, or there's no visual aspect to it, there's no pictures, there's no face. I reckon half of it is just people at companies.
Tinfoil hat, mate.
Yeah, I'm wearing a tinfoil hat now. Has anyone ridden? And I think they do it in a clever way. So has anyone ridden these wheels? I'm thinking of getting a set. And then a load of people reply, no, but I'm really interested in a review. Lo and behold, 2 weeks later. So hey guys, I decided to dive in and buy this wheel set. It would cost me so much money, but here's my full experience. The wheels arrived, they were really well packaged, and it's like, fuck me, this is not real.
I used to weight weenie back in the day, and then I went off it for a while, and then I'm back on it these days because there's now like an 84-page thread about the CRW wheels or whatever.
Half of them are fake reviews, I guarantee.
Well, so half the people in there, the weight weenie crowd, like, they are anal about the details. But
they're anal about weight, it's in the name.
Yeah, but fine, whatever, that's your thing. But some of the people there, they have zero intention of ever buying anything, and they're just there fucking poking the bear. Just
that's what YouTube is. That's my comment section on YouTube is the same. These people never put their hand in their pocket to buy anything.
Yeah, no, what if...
Probably still riding around on a rim brake Boardman, even though they're watching a CRW video. They're never going to buy it.
Yeah.
They just want to say that I'm a shill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, some of the guys on there are super cool, and we try we'll try to answer any questions on there and stuff. But there's so many places that information is now, and I'm like, if anyone has any issue with anything, just email me. Don't leave it on weight weenies and hope that I'll see it, because I probably won't.
God.
But the 58-page or 84-page, thread on CRW.
I can't believe that's organic.
It seems legit.
Do you think it's all organic?
It wasn't me. I'll say it wasn't me.
Yeah. It wasn't me. It wasn't fucking me. I don't have an account on weight weenies, so I can't be asked.
I think my account is called Transcycling or Transcycling Joe, whatever, but I'm on there.
Just quickly mention, if anyone talking about weight, if anyone's wanting to hear the weight of the Tavello frame in the 41-minute edit that I did, it's not even in there. So, I mean, who gives a fuck when it's a 58? If I said the weight of that, who's going to care? Because the weight, I feel like the weight weenies are genuinely smaller guys and girls. It makes sense because it's more proportion of your body weight. It would make sense to care about the bike weight, which is why I put you on a 13 kg mountain bike yesterday. Yeah. I wanted to slow you down.
It was good fun on the bike.
It fucking worked.
Yeah, those climbs were...
There's a lot of your body weight was that bike.
As a percentage of my body weight, that was a bike.
Yeah, but I don't think many people watching an XXL bike built up are just waiting for the weight of it. Because that bike's probably 1,300 grams. All the headline figures you see in the media releases, they're all on a 56 or 54, right? Where if a Specialized releases a frame and says, the frame weight's only 861.6 grams.
That would be heavy.
I have no idea of what that would be. If that's good, I thought that was good, wasn't it?
No, the new...
That's heavy, is it? 800 grams?
The Athos is 640, the SL8 is 680.
I'm fucking shit a kilo this morning. But yeah, no one's watching my videos listening out for the weight, I don't think. And if I weighed that, it's not going to apply to the weight weenies because this is an XXL. So yeah. That's gone off on a massive tangent. I think weight weenies is full of shills, and they do it in disguise. There's no face, no reputation. Be very careful on weight weenies.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You reckon it's the Chinese brands or the Western brands?
But I don't think it's people trying to... Because if they put an affiliate code under their review, obviously you're going to find out they're shills. I think it's people in the brands. I think it's people in the office.
But also
I think it's the Chinese companies.
I'd be surprised.
I genuinely think a lot of Chinese companies do it. Or they use ChatGPT.
I've seen it around some places. I don't think I've seen it on weight weenies.
Next time Joe comes, we're going to get him on the downhill bike.
Thanks for having me.
Keep banging your hairdressers.
Yeah, maybe you'll come down to my neck of the woods next week, and if you do,
Shaman. I need to come there as well, but I need to get a new visa.
Well, yeah, you need to get.
Might not be allowed in nowadays.
I wouldn't let you.
We'll have to go and get a visa from London or something. But yeah, you're having Trace Velo over next week. You're going to film an interview with him.
Yeah, I'm going to interview in a minute as well.
Yeah. Interview me?
Yeah.
Alright, I need to piss first.
I need a drink first. Cool.
Alright.
And on that bombshell...
See you in the next one.